Hi, I'm Josanne Wright Callender, the author of the Happy Little Garbage Truck picture book and educational program. Now, this picture book was created to teach social skills to a student of mine when I was teaching kindergarten some years ago. The student is now 24, and I am so thankful and happy to say that he's doing pretty well. And most important thing to him when I asked him the last time we spoke over lunch, he said was his friends. And so that's a big part of what we're trying to do with teaching social emotional skills to children is to have them look outside of themselves and see that friendship is really important, and while having a sense of self. So it's you start with the inner person and you branch out so that a child can see others as important as well. And so social emotional skills is the key to this growth within the child. And I always try to make it fun. And going back years and years ago, I was talking with a nun who knew that I was going back into teaching because I had taken a sabbatical. And she said, whatever you do, no matter what, make sure that it's fun. And she says, and then you'll be able to teach children most everything that you have before you to teach. And I found that was one of the best bits of information that, I had taken, up to my master's degree in education and educational leadership. But no one had actually said that to me. And I said, oh, that is such a part of what I found interesting and connecting. I connected with as a child when I was in school. The teachers that I still remember to this day, many, many years later, were those who were fun and they captured my attention. So, in keeping with that, I'm thankful that you're here today after Thanksgiving. This is a little impromptu bonus vlog that I'm doing because I wanted to keep going with that. The 7 ways of, I think it was called, let me find my log, 7 ways to build empathy in a child. And that may or may not be the correct title. Oh, 7 ways to foster empathy in kids. So it's close. No cigar. The author was talking about how we have several ways that we can do this in a fun way. And one in particular that I, kept thinking about after we did we had a free workshop a week ago. And, we talked about helping kids develop a moral identity. But the second step, which I didn't get to, which is why we're doing today's vlog, was to give kids a chance to have a do-over. That was the author's second offer to how to teach empathy. And Mrs. Jill Suttie, who wrote the article about Michelle Borba's book, The Unselfie Why Empathetic Children Succeed in Our All About Me World, Why Empathetic Kids Succeed in Our All About Me World. So instead of a child who is self-absorbed or just thinking about themselves, she said that when you give a child a chance to have a do-over, empathy isn't just picked up overnight. It's a process, and we're still learning it as adults, as you know. But to call attention to something that the child has done so that they can have a do-over. And I like this because it reminded me of Rick LaVoy's social autopsy method that I've spoken about in the past, where you take something that just didn't go right and you stop the child when it's safe and you say, did you see that person's expression? They were pretty upset with you when you stepped in front of them in the line instead of waiting your turn. So, we can talk through their teachable moments and we can talk through what went on. But she had a really great acronym, CARE, so that we can remember which pieces to bring up to the child first one is call attention to the action or the behavior that didn't go so well, and that is catching the child in the moment and, allowing them to see that, "Hey, this wasn't your best." The second thing is to assess how it affects others, and that's when you look at the expression of others, try to determine how they're feeling. The R in care, so it's first call attention to the behavior and what actually how it affected others. A was assess, how it affected others. And then R was repair and make attempts to make amends for that, behavior that wasn't appropriate. And so the child actually can come back and say, "Oh, I'm sorry I stepped in front of you, and, I wouldn't want you to, feel as though I do that all the time. I'm really working on thinking about how what I do affects others." It may not be that verbose, but, you're trying to work it into language that the child can actually express. And then the E is also you make amends for the behavior, but the child expresses disappointment in their behavior and they acknowledge that, I'm getting better at this. So, this was just a mistake. Please forgive me. And I'm still working on being a better person, more caring person. So it's a process, and I like that she's showing that in her book, but it does take time to kind of break it down for the individual child who's working on these skills. So I gave some pretty verbose examples, but, simple language, and, we'll talk a little bit more about this next time. But enjoy your holiday activities, and we'll get back with each other next week. Thank you so much. Please subscribe, please share. Bye-bye.